Hi, my name is Cody Skahan, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Oxford. I first heard about climate intervention at the Arctic Circle Assembly in Reykjavik in 2023 from some members of Operaatio Arktis and also Clara from the Just Deliberation on Solar Geoengineering. And I felt it was a very intriguing really intriguing topic that I had not heard much about before, and I find it really valuable that people are considering options of positive movement in terms of just sort of describing and thinking about, the issues, the problems we have, but also thinking about different pathways to address them. And I find that a very interesting question to pursue, and also something that made me a lot more optimistic than the sort of normal spate of climate research. Yeah, so for the UK ARIA-funded project that we're working on, the focus is creating a toolkit of how to produce and conduct collaborative public engagement workshops, or that could be different formats, but basically how to go about collaborative public engagement research across the Arctic, but also the UK. The two work streams are slightly different. The Arctic is more focused on the collaborative element, and then the UK we're focusing a little bit more on also long-term and how people's views towards climate interventions might change when they're exposed to new forms of research and information over time. Yeah, so in regards to ethics, justice, and governance, our project is intimately tied to advancing how research teams approach these questions in terms of their own engagement with communities. So if they want to do a research project or experiment in a certain community, our toolkit will help them understand, based on which communities they're engaging with, the type of people there, the region, how they should approach the community, what questions they should ask, how they should involve them in the public engagement process itself. So that kind of brings a lot of the burden from the communities, but it also gives researchers a very clear toolkit to follow there is nothing that is necessarily quite that specific in this regard for engineering teams or for physicists or whoever to approach these questions without this kind of guidance. Yeah, so the value of the Climate Intervention Network for Early Career Researchers and gatherings is that I've met a lot of my collaborators, actually, some of my collaborators on this ARIA project through the Climate Intervention Network, and also just in terms of coming up with ideas for further research topics for further initiatives we want to do collectively as a group of early career researchers. But I think one of the main ones for me is also the kind of confidence and drive to stay in this field, because it can be a quite intimidating or difficult field to emerge into and stay within, because there's so many controversies or big questions, and it feels like you feel like you can be isolated, and if there's no support and people telling you that your research is important and valuable, and that you can't just develop these community networks, it's extremely difficult to motivate yourself to stay in the field. So that's been really, really helpful for me.